Nobody showed up at the old woman's birthday party. Months later, her children were shocked by the surprise in the will. The balloons sagged against the ceiling, the cake sat untouched, and the candles flickered in silence. Eleanor Harper, 89 years old, sat alone in her small living room in Ohio, dressed in her Sunday best, waiting for someone, anyone, to walk through the door. It was her birthday. Her children had promised they'd come. But as the sun dipped below the horizon and the clock ticked past 7, the only sound was the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the wooden floor beneath her slippers. Eleanor had been a mother of 3, a retired schoolteacher, and a widow of 15 years. She had spent her life giving, to her students, her community, and above all, her family. She never missed a recital, never forgot a birthday, and her home had always been filled with warmth and the smell of homemade cookies. But in recent years, her children had become busy. Too busy. There was always a business trip, a soccer game, a forgotten text. "Next time, Mom," they'd say. But next time never came. That night, after blowing out her candles alone, Eleanor packed up the cake and drove to the nearest shelter, where she donated the food and spent the evening playing cards with strangers who had nowhere else to go. She didn't cry. Not in front of anyone. But when she returned home, she sat on her porch and looked up at the stars, whispering a quiet, "Thank you for today," to the universe. Months later, Eleanor passed peacefully in her sleep. Her children, Michael, Linda, and Jeremy, gathered in her home, now filled with dusty photo albums and the scent of lavender. They expected a simple will. Perhaps the house would be sold, a few savings divided. But what the lawyer read aloud left them speechless. "To my children," the will began, "I leave behind memories and love that can't be measured. But I also leave a lesson. On my last birthday, none of you came. I understand. Life is busy. But I also learned that love must be shown, not just said. So I did something." Eleanor had donated nearly all of her life savings, over $250,000, to local charities, community centers, and homeless shelters. She left each child a handwritten letter, not of anger, but of gentle reflection. "I raised you to care for others, to see the unseen. I hope this wakes something in you. It's never too late to remember who you are." But the biggest surprise came at the end. "I also created something new, a community garden and learning center, the Harper Haven, built in the heart of our old neighborhood. It's a place where anyone, young or old, rich or poor, can come to grow, to learn, and to belong. It is my final birthday wish, that you visit, volunteer, and maybe find a little of me there." The children were stunned. Tears flowed freely, not from guilt, but from a painful realization of what they had missed. In the weeks that followed, they did visit Harper Haven. Michael taught cooking classes using their mother's old recipes. Linda organized book drives and story hours for children. Jeremy, once too busy with meetings, began teaching carpentry to teens. In giving away everything, Eleanor had given them something priceless, a second chance. Not just to honor her, but to reconnect with the values she lived by. And slowly, as vegetables sprouted from garden beds and laughter echoed from the community room, the Harper children understood, their mother's love had not faded in her absence. It had only grown roots. Sometimes, the greatest gifts are the ones we don't recognize until they bloom. And so, a lonely birthday became the seed of a legacy, one that reminded a family, and an entire town, that kindness never truly goes unnoticed, and it's never too late to show up.